Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Carmen Tapia Wash Processed Ecuador from Calendar Coffee. And there's the bag right there. Of course, Calendar Coffee, based out of Galway, Ireland. This is the second washed Ecuador review I'm doing in a row from them. 4 out of my last 5 coffee reviews have been Ecuador coffees because we're in that Ecuador season. And when I went to see what Calendar was offering, I saw both of these washed Ecuadors, and I kind of wanted to compare them side by side, see which one I liked better. If you didn't catch the last video, you'll see that that one was a little bit more on the tame side, whereas this one is a little more on the wild side. I'm very much looking forward to discussing this coffee right here. And if you didn't catch that in the last video as well, there was a pretty significant snowstorm here, so these coffees were delayed, and I didn't get them until day 20, which is fine. This is a lighter coffee, and they even say on their bag, drink within 3 months, so pushing it out a little further shouldn't be much of a big deal. And this right here is day 30 of this coffee. And let's get the details out of the way. I brewed it at my standard recipe, 16.67 to 1. That's 204 degrees Fahrenheit. When I brewed this on the first day, it was really nice, so I decided to stick with that. And again, the roast profile is a lighter European roast. With that out of the way, let's start discussing the coffee itself. Day 20, pretty solid first impression. The way I would describe this is it was a little bit more fruit forward than I had expected for just being a standard washed coffee, and that was very nice. Day 22, definitely some pretty prominent melon flavors as well as some fleshy fruits. I think the fleshy fruits kind of reminded me a little bit more of Fried Hats, where it had this slight black licorice, but at the same time you could taste this apricot component to it, and it was pretty fruit forward in that day as well. Day 24, best day of the coffee for me. Just insanely nice tropical fruit components in this, very lively, a lot more lively than I had expected. This coffee as a whole was more lively than I had expected. Day 26, it became a little bit more vegetal. I was getting a little bit more vegetal and herbal components on this day, and the best way I could describe this coffee as well for American viewers is it was pretty similar to Say. A lot of the Say coffees I've had kind of have this very slight herbal or what's the word I'm looking for, vegetal component, and it does taper off, especially as the coffee cools down, but when it's hot, you definitely taste it a little more. And day 28, I would say definitely enjoy the coffee the most as it cools down. It really opens up and becomes a nice wild tropical cup. That being said, kind of interesting, I'm not getting any herbal or vegetable components today. It's pretty just fruit forward, pretty lively, very enjoyable. I'm really enjoying this cup of coffee this morning. All right, let me go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what I was getting. And one thing I didn't mention while discussing these days was the florals, because I remember when making this tasting when I said I haven't really noted or commented the florals on my notes. However, it definitely has a nice bit of florality. I went back this morning and kind of checked to see what their website said, and those were the flavor notes it listed. I think floral, apricot, and melon. That would make sense since it's on the cover of the bag, but yeah, I didn't know that they had listed it as high in the florality as they had, and it's good that I match them on that because it definitely has some really nice floral components. But of course, I think the citrus fruit and the stone fruit, I kind of maybe got some pineapple from time to time, were the 2 highest things I put on here. I left the sweetness at level 3 because even though it is a pretty fruity cup, it's not this sweet, overly sweet fruit. And pretty nice finish. They also mentioned that they like the body on this coffee, that it's kind of a cross between an African and a Central American, and I definitely get that. The body, especially through the Chemex, was really nice. It had a little bit more body than I had expected. Actually, about as much body as I expected. It's a South American coffee. But the fruits, yeah, they were much more akin to an African coffee than they were to a Ecuadorian coffee. And a couple of these Ecuadorian coffees have had really, really lovely fruit components to it that I hadn't had from many other Ecuadorian coffees before. So again, Ecuador coffee is probably underrated. There have been some really nice Ecuador coffees that I've reviewed recently. I'm gonna take one more sip because, again, I'm really enjoying it. Alright, so my overall impression of this coffee as well as Calendar was definitely improved by this one right here, because while the other one was a little tame and not necessarily my favorite, this one right here it's either my favorite or my second favorite of the Ecuadors I've reviewed recently, especially this year. It's a really enjoyable cup of coffee, and the type of person I would suggest this to is people that do like their Say coffees. I think this is a good fit, especially if you like their kind of fruitier Say coffees. And I think this is perfectly in line. Great citrus fruit, great tropical fruit, and definitely some nice kind of stone fruit, probably more to the apricot flavor notes than, I don't know, I was expecting from this coffee. Really, really good job. But I'm gonna leave it at that. If you've tried this coffee, and again, if you've tried Calendar, please let me know your thoughts on either the coffee or the coffee roaster. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Carmen Tapia Wash Process Ecuador from Calendar Coffee. Thank you for watching.